that environment is a good way to get people to talk and work on their mutual benefits. The political imperatives or the political context is so difficult at this point that the voices of moderation tend to be somewhat overshadowed. But I hope that I know that people are out there, that they want to, they care about these environmental issues, because ultimately those are kind of very personal and local issues. People want their kids to grow up in a place that's clean, that has good water, etc. And so there's a need and I think a desire on both sides to have that kind of rapprochement. But you don't have to look much further than the latest issue of the newspaper or The Economist to see that the conflict, the political conflict, is overshadowing the work on the environment and other areas of shared interest. Anyone else? I'm still here. I'm still standing.
Sure. I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, first of all. You have a difficult job.
Oh, I don't mind. It's okay.
The question I have has to do more with politics of climate change policy in particular. You identified a lot of different stakeholders and actors and how the federal system tends to slow down environmental policy sometimes, right? Or at least it can slow down a consensus being built, I think you said.
Yeah, let me think about what the right word would be there. Let's just say that at the federal level, it's complex and it takes time. Right. I would hope that it doesn't take any more time than it has to. I mean, you don't want to rush a policy through and have it come out that a certain group was unaware. So it's complex. It takes time, but I think it's worth the time. So in terms of slowing it down, no, but it is I would say a gradual process. Let me put it that way. Go ahead.
Within this gradual process, you didn't really mention too much about the different political parties that are views on climate change policy. And I just wondered, maybe this is probably terribly unfair, because I just asked you to speculate a little bit about maybe in the future what might happen. Because I think a lot of people see a slowdown in U.S. climate change or environmental policy and attribute that to the Bush administration, right? And there's probably some evidence to support that. But in the future, if there's a change in the White House, or if the Democratic Party keeps Congress and takes over the White House, or what, there seems to be a fundamental difference in the policy positions between these two parties, but that doesn't come up very prominently in your talk. I just wonder, what do you think is going to happen in the future if there is a change? Is there something about the Bush administration that makes it uniquely different compared to Clinton beforehand, which seemed to at least support and sign on to Kyoto?
Well, I don't think that one of my basic points, and maybe I didn't stress this enough in my talk, is that because of the sort of gravity of this policy-making process with multiple layers, multiple actors, that it takes a while, but that gradually you establish a real consensus, and that policy doesn't change from one administration to another on such issues as environment. So I don't think that there's a clear differentiation between Republicans and Democrats on the environment. There might be some, and I haven't looked at the candidates to see, who suggests what policy alternatives, and I'm sure there's differences there. As I said, one of the interesting things is that, this is such a new area of policy that you don't have a sort of a traditional Democratic and a traditional Republican policy on that when you sign up as a Republican, you're automatically, this is your policy viewpoint, and the Democrats have this. And you've got a Republican governor in California, which is an extremely, active, strong player in environmental issues. So, and you have Democrats who are much less engaged on climate. So it's really a very kind of an unsettled picture at this point, I think, where it really, certainly at the presidential level, it would depend strongly on individual people rather than what party they represent. But I think that the overall policy of the U.S. is not going to alter dramatically no matter who gets elected. You know, we care about climate change. This is an issue that we take seriously. We want to deal with it under a UN framework. We're doing a lot to come up with practical solutions, and that work will go forward no matter who gets elected.
Great. Well, if I may, I would like to ask a final question.
Sure.
You've spoken a lot about, as a diplomat, your job is to listen, to respond, and to report back. I'm interested in hearing, is the State Department working to proactively encourage environmental policy in certain countries, particularly, actually, as I was mentioning, in China, where you worked for a long time, and where obviously there's a lot of talk about climate change there.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I was in China, I was in this Environment, Science, Technology, Health section. We had an officer there who did nothing but work on energy issues. So that would be everything from air pollution to nuclear power, hydrogen, get the acronym right, the Partnership for the Hydrogen Economy. There's another word missing there, Global Partnership for the Hydrogen Economy. Anyway, we have a multilateral group that works on hydrogen issues. So we're in there definitely with China, with India. We have Agency for International Development working in developing countries to strengthen often to strengthen their legislative and governmental capacity to deal with environmental issues and energy issues. So again, these are things that go back decades in some cases, but you're not going to solve climate change unless you've got China at the table and wanting to be there. And we're doing everything we can to make that happen.
Great. Well, on behalf of the Politics Society, I'd like to thank you very much.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you all for coming. We have other things to spend your time on, so I appreciate your coming by and your questions. Thank you.